All right, for starters, who are you? What's your name? And then we'll get into the details because I know a little bit of the Blake Foster story.
Yeah, shout out to the fan club. He sent me some messages. It was like, listen, man, you need to come on here and tell that crazy story that you told me. So my name is Miguel Blanco, and I used to be a merchandiser. I used to make merchandise for a bunch of different people, bunch of different stuff, and Blake Foster was one of my customers. He was one of my clients.
Really?
And he was, yep. Yep,
Okay.
we did a bunch of merch for him right before Ranger Con. This was years ago, so it's not like you said it was breaking story. This is an old story. This is
Well,
this is old, but nobody's heard it, so I've never actually like publicly spoke about it. Um, just anybody that's ever come in passing that's ever mentioned him, my main response is I hate that guy. So,
okay. All
uh,
right. Before we get into you hating him, how long have you known him?
oh, so prior to working with him, I met him through another ranger. So another ranger put me in contact with him, and his manager was the first one I worked with for a different ranger, and then they put me in contact. So I knew him for 2 years prior to working with him, and
Okay.
then so it's back to 2016, 2015, 2016.
Okay. So you've established. So how many times have you worked with him? Because I imagine you don't just start gung ho. Hey, I want $1 million worth of merchandise. You're like, all right, here's $1 million worth of merchandise. Where's my $1 million? So
So how it started was his manager's name is Aaron Coney, which I believe is still his manager. Um, and at the time, Aaron Coney was literally only managing two people, and now he's managing a lot more. Super nice guy, nothing bad to say about Coney. And so I'd worked with him and a different ranger prior to, so it was like I'd already built a rapport with Coney at the time. So then when Blake got brought into it, it was more like, all right, cool, let's just jump in and kind of on the strength of who type situation. So like our first like order or whatever else, he had for the longest time he was doing the Blue Ranger stickers. He was giving everybody it was like kind of like almost like the Funko Pop looking stickers.
yeah.
We did stickers, so we did like 10,000 stickers. Yeah, he had a ton because he had like Ranger Con, and this was like right at the point where like Rangers was making that first comeback. You know what I'm talking about? Like when it was first, like JDF was still like pushing hard and all of that was going on. So he was getting his second kind of push, and he was talking about going into MMA the first time. So he was getting his popular grind. So we did a bunch of stickers. We did koozies. People got like koozies with the Blue Ranger on it, and like had the little turbo key on the back. And then we did shirts and hats, and yep, bunch of stuff.
Okay. All right. So you got a rapport with him.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely.
So this was not like some one time deal. You did stickers, you did hats. So
Yep. We
what?
did we did two orders. So we
Okay.
did two orders for him. Now, mind you, while we were doing that, we were still doing orders for um like Jason Font. Jason Font was one of the ones that we were working with. We were doing some stuff for him. Um and like, like Scully and Bulk, like we did some stuff for them. Just like little stuff, kind of, back and forth. As a fan of the Rangers, it was just cool, right? So it was like cool for me to be like, hey, check this out on my phone. I can call one of these guys right now. Like as like a nerd, like at the time, that was pretty cool for me. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So what went wrong?
Um oh shit, I'm just gonna say it. The man just never paid no bills. So what had
Mm,
happened was it started, we sent a bunch of stuff off. Cool. He had posted it and was like awesome. And like part of it was to give us the shout out, right? Like that's obviously half the name, right? You give somebody a discount, like you have a following, right? So if you said, hey man, I need some Henry teas, cool. Help me out on Instagram and YouTube, whatever else. Maybe I'll get a couple fans off your fans. We can, politic.
right. 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 Now here's the
Did
thing.
he
Right.
go?
You are the second person to tell me that Blake likes to pay people in shout outs. And sure, on the surface, it looks good. but that rarely translates into business.
Very true. So one of the deals that we worked out before, like I said, I worked with Aaron Coney pretty closely. Like I said, he was a super cool dude. So one of the things that we worked out back earlier time was basically like if people wanted merch, right? Say you wanted some of the merch we created,
Yeah.
right? You could order it from me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
basically I would drop ship to them and I'd give you your cut. So you promoting me helped you make money,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. So that's how it originally started. And so the shout outs, yeah, like, that kind of stuff, whatever. Um, but that was part of the deal. So part of it was like the promotion. The other part was actually just paying me my money. Right. And so we sent the stuff and hey man, don't worry, I'm gonna get you your money. I got this big con coming up. It's 3 days. We're selling meet and greets for $100. They can come have dinner with us. I'm gonna get you the money. Okay, cool.
Sounds like Power Morphicon.
I think that might have been what it was. Like, so like they had like planned to have like a dinner with like him, JDF, like something like all of them. Like it was literally everybody was having dinners, and I think it was like $150 tickets. And he was like, we all get cuts and whatever.
I got
So the first order went
money.
through and he just never paid for it. Right. And then it
Mm-hmm.
was like we never got a shout out. We never got anything. He had posted the stuff and other people had posted it and we had our logo on the back of like the stickers, right? Like my logo was on the back of it.
What?
So like, you peel the sticker off and
Yes.
then like
Yes.
my paper. So then he was like, hey man, when we do another order, can you not put your logo on the back?
Hey, yo.
And I'm like, that's
What?
kind of, it's just paper. Like,
That.
what I mean? Like it costs me money to do that. And I don't even charge you for that. That's just for me. So like if somebody sees it and they're like, oh, clothing is art. That's dope,
Because we got some
Um,
thievery out here.
And so I was like, yeah, whatever, man. Cool. Hey, what about this balance? Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. So then I was like, all right, whatever. Still dealing with other Rangers at the time. They were cool. They paid their tabs. Everything was fine. Coney kept defending him like, hey, man, talk to Blake. We're getting it taken care of on Friday. All right. Hey, man, we just had somebody steal all of our merchandise.
Oh, how convenient.
And we need more before this next one that we're doing in Seattle or Tacoma, Washington, or wherever we're going. We're doing a pop-up Ranger stop, and we need some more stuff right away. Okay, so then we do another one, right? Now, keep in mind, like I said, partly bad business on me, right? And I'm thinking, like, there's no way that the little kid from the Power Rangers is going to fuck me over. Okay?
I'm sorry to
Like,
laugh, but
listen, that's in my head. Like, you have to, in my head, I'm like, okay. Well, fast forward, he did. He did fuck me over. And he just never paid the tab. So it got to the point where, like, I'm messaging his manager, right? And his manager's starting to kind of ghost me. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm messaging other Rangers, like, hey, I know you're going to be at this con on this day. I also see that our mutual friend Blake is going to be there. Could you call me when you are with Blake? Because I need to talk to him. So then
right.
they started to kind of like give him a little heat, like, hey, why is this merch guy like trying to get a hold of you via me? Like it was kind of weird. Like Jason Font was literally emailing me from his work, like his real job email. Like, hey man, I don't know why you're looking for Blake, but like I don't know where he is. And I'm like, damn, okay, no problem. Sorry to bother you at your job. And yeah, so then that was kind of what started to spiral the situation of and then like I seen him selling the merch.
All right.
That was
All right. That would piss me off.
yeah, see, that was and people were posting, right? And this was at the time, mind you, his Instagram following was like somewhere in like a 40K, 50K, right? Like it was just kind of like he had just kind of like revamped himself as like, hey, I used to be this cute little kid and now I'm jacked with tattoos. Like, like that like progression where he'll post the photo of him as a child doing the morph stance and then him as an adult. So like people knew they were the same person.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that
They
was
all do that.
yeah. So that was the time that this all had happened. And then yeah, and then it just kind of spiraled from there.
Okay. Now, what is the name of your brand before we get to the rest of the story? Because I was told some other stuff too that we're going to get to.
Yeah. So the name of the company was Clothing is Art. That was what it is. It's no longer in service in business. It is completely defunct, which is why I don't have to worry about getting sued. So it is completely defunct.
Okay.
So we're going from there.
So you no longer do merch.
Yeah, no, I don't do any of the clothing or anything like that anymore.
All
I
right.
got out of that. I got out of that game a few years back.
Now, he still didn't pay your money. I was told that you took it a step further than just reaching out to Rangers. Can we touch on that just a
Yeah,
little bit? What was that about? I'll let you explain it from your mouth.
my wife is eyeballing me to make sure that she's my lawyer, so she's making sure that I keep this. Um, so I'm not gonna put like real people's names into it, right?
No need
I
to.
had a business partner, and he also had tried to reach out to Mr. Foster. Mr. Foster's wife, um, at the time, I believe they're still married. I'm not quite sure. I believe they still are. Um, she was, her family was semi-local to me, like not a far distance away from where I did my business. And when we did the second order, that is where the clothes went to, right?
Hmm.
Because like we were gonna be there at the time, and like so it just made it easier. Cool, whatever, makes it easier for me. Well, I was blocked on Instagram. My business was blocked on Instagram.
Wait.
Oh
So
yeah,
you send him some product. He says it got stolen. You see him selling the product. Uh,
yep,
Against your better judgment, you send him more product. He gets that product and then he blocks you on Instagram.
yeah. Blocked me on Instagram. Blocked my business partner on Instagram. Like he made one post where it was like people see you shining and like whatever, and like haters are gonna hate. And I commented on it, and we all commented on it. And I had a bunch of other just like troll people with me that was like, hey, if he posts something, comment like, hey man, you should reach out too. And he just like kind of went dark and just blocked everybody. And then the whole time, mind you, his manager was super cool, was still trying to like solve situations and still, trying to be, he's like, hey, I'm not really working with him right now. We're seeing a different, kind of separating, but he was super cool. Like I said, I have nothing bad to say about that man. So fast forward, I made a new Instagram, obviously. Pretty much, I'm Captain Petty, I'll admit it. And I did a little cyber stalking. And this is when he still kind of posted more personal stuff, not all business stuff like he does now.
Uh huh.
And he had posted, like, it feels so great to be home for the holidays. And I said, oh, okay, home for the holidays. And then I look and like they had posted a picture, family photo. And I said, do you know what that looks like? That looks like her that that looks like the place that's not far from here. Right? And
Wait.
somebody had commented on it and said, hey, do you have like, oh, how long are you guys back for? Yada yada yada. And he's like, oh, we're only here for the weekend, for the long weekend, and we'll be gone. It was like Easter.
Uh huh.
And I was like, okay. And so at that moment, I made a phone call to a buddy of mine. I said, you want to go collect some money? He said,
Are you
sure.
threatening me
I
with
said, all right,
violence?
let's roll. And
Holy
we
shit!
hopped and we literally drove out to what we assumed was their house and kind of just hung around. I was like, okay, here's the situation.
Challenging my
What we
manhood?
might possibly do is a crime. So we need to like be careful to not commit a crime. And we ended up actually just bumping into him. Like I reached out to him and said, hey man, listen, I understand, things happen, life happens, you got kids, the con business is going down, whatever. I got kids, I got bills to pay, I got employees. I'm gonna need this money. Like, I am literally coming to you. Now, I understand, ladies and gentlemen, you can look at me, okay? You can understand that I'm going to lose in this fight, okay? That man is jack jujitsu, black belt, karate, all that. I'm going to lose in that fight. And I understood that. But I also figured that if somebody filmed me getting beat up by the Blue Turbo Power Ranger, I could probably make some money off that. So, and he didn't want that to happen because like nobody's gonna want to see him beat like an obese kid like out in a street fight. Like that's just not So we ended up running into him at her in-laws' house, and words were exchanged and agreements were made. Some things happened, and needless to say, part of the payment that was received, I actually just sent it to you, was I sent you in chat. I crossed out the name so you guys can see my government name. Part of the payment that was received for that, and you see the date, it's like 2016. When I actually posted this, I waited till a little bit longer time. I sent it in Discord.
I got it.
That was part of the payment that was received. Was the helmet? His one of his con helmets.
Uh-huh.
Was part of the payment that was received for the merchandise. We're told that this is,
It's
it
worth
was in,
so much money.
yeah, it was like supposed to like cover it. And on principle of the matter, I felt like, okay, this is a good start. And, and whatever else, mind you, at the time it was dark. And so it was given to us in a nice manner, given, not taken. It was given, it was offered up.
Let's make that
Uh,
very clear.
very clear. It was offered to us as partial payment. We accepted it because we thought it was cool. It was in like a travel case, like like a motorcycle case,
Yeah.
like helmet. Yeah. Opened it up and was like, "Listen, man, this is like the replica. This is my con one that I wear, and it's everything. It's dark." We're like, all right, cool. Well, you know what? That's a good. These things sell for $5,000.
That's cap.
And I'm like,
That's
yeah,
cap.
okay, 100%,
Get your
100%. And
money.
he's like, but you know what, man? Like, I don't even want to
cap.
wipe the whole bill. We'll just do part of it. I'm like, okay, cool. Money was exchanged. This helmet, cool. Mind you, we drive all the way back to where we were. And I'm like, I can't believe this worked. Like, this is crazy. I look at this helmet, okay? This is the most poorly made paper mache, okay? This thing was painted with blue Sharpies. Okay, it smelled like wet dog on the inside. It was scratchy. I'm wearing it and it was like scratching up my neck. And I'm like, there's absolutely no way that this was like the one that he wears, like when he takes photos and he holds it. There's absolutely no way. 0% chance. So I come to find out afterwards, there's groups, as I'm sure you're aware, like ranger groups and whatnot. So I have made a post like, hey, anybody is looking for this, I might have one for sale. Whatever. This was given to me by Mr. Foster. I made him sign it, right? So it was like, he signed, he signed it with a Sharpie on the backside.
Uh-huh.
And he reached out and said, hey, that's the helmet I made for him as a gift. And it was one of the helmets that he was given as a gift, like somebody brought to him at a meet and greet,
Yeah.
and they had made it at home. And that's why there were like house screws in it, like holding the flat back together. And it was like, I'm pretty sure it had asbestos on the inside, and it was just rough. It was rough. And so we had a good long joke about it, and like we posted like a bunch of photos and things with the helmet as like a joke. But we had just got like there was nothing else, like I had made a point. I had ran into him again shortly thereafter, maybe 6 months, 8 months after that. I'd ran into him again, and that time he was more angry. He was drinking a little bit. And he was a little bit more angry about how we made fun of him for his helmet. But yeah, so that was so the helmet is still like it is still here. It is not with me, it is with my partner. He still has it. And I will gladly send it to you, man, and you can have it. You can put it on your shelf. Okay, like as a momentous occasion, it's signed. It's worth $5,000.
As generous as that offer is, and I am in a bind. I really appreciate your generosity. I'm going to have to respectfully decline, and I just want to say, please do not pull up at my house with you and your friend because I declined.
Fair enough. I respect it. But it was funny. So after everything had happened, right? Like after all of these things had happened, we still continued to do work. Like I said, for like Jason Narvi, we did work for him. Jason Font was super cool dude, like super nice. Like if you ever have a chance to hang out with that guy, he's awesome. Um, And shortly thereafter, they were doing what's the movie? The Order? Was it The Order?
Oh no.
It was The Order, right? I believe it was The Order. And so they were doing that, and they had reached out for merch for their Kickstarter.
No.
Um, yeah,
No.
so we had I drew up a logo, everything like for some merch. I'm like, yeah, man, this would be cool. And they're like, listen, and we'll give you the top like sponsor badge or whatever it was. Like I think I was supposed to get like a cameo in the movie. Was like part of the deal. I swear to God, I will find the emails and I'll send to you. I
Oh
was supposed to
my
get a
God.
cameo in the
No.
movie for
No.
do it like for this, and I was like, all right,
No.
I'm down. And
Okay.
I made a logo, I made like all the stuff, and I made the if you seen when the order was posted, they had all the merch like templates. I made those, right? I made all of them. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. I'm all for it. And
Okay. Does this look familiar? You could probably see my screen now.
yeah, this is the order. Yeah. So if you look at they had like tiers, right? Like tier, like sponsor tiers, like you could like put money in.
He don't know, y'all. He don't
Like
know.
people probably don't remember this, but yes, the order,
Okay.
right?
Let me tell you something.
Yep.
They
See,
collected all this money and
and,
never
and
came. And yeah.
there's the biggest Ponzi scheme, all right, that has happened to like to people in the longest time. Okay, so if you look at this, the logo for the order, I created the logo for the order. So
Wait.
like shirts, like those we created those logos.
Hold on. I'm about to show it, guys. Let me see if I can find like this logo right here that my
Yeah,
mouse is
yeah,
on.
yep, exactly. And so we did this, and it was set to be, whatever, and like I was supposed to get like the top like sponsorship, whatever. Cool. And then right after all this stuff started coming out, and they started doing it, Mr. Foster was gonna be a part of this.
Okay.
And and Mr. Foster was gonna be a part of this. As you can see, if you look at that photo to the photo of the helmet I have, they look nothing like. Okay, there's a
Uh
big difference.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, oh, yeah, okay, big difference. Um, but Mr. Foster was supposed to be part of that, right? And shortly thereafter, he was supposed to be part of this movie in some way, shape, or form. And then as soon as that came about, they literally ceased communication. Like the group that was putting that on
No
ceased
way.
communication.
Did they
Just done
did they
instantly.
so they were paying you and letting you be in the movie? Was that your payment?
Yeah, so it was basically like a hey, like this is a Kickstarter, right? Like we are doing this whole thing. And it was originally created by the Rangers, right? But there was one guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there's one guy that was actually the creator,
Uh
right? And then he just told all the Rangers to kind of sign on to it. But there
uh
was one guy that wasn't a Ranger that was like the head honcho.
uh
And
I think his name was it David Fouting? This guy?
no, because it wasn't he was one of the writers, right? But I'm saying there was a money guy. There was one money guy that was like a director or whatever that was like because they kept advertising it as it's all us, like for us, by us, Ranger Nation. But there wasn't. There was another guy that was like kind of pulling the strings, like a puppet master, and he just got
Really?
all involved in it. And as soon as Blake Foster or whatever got involved in it, they just kind of ceased communication. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like, okay, like super weird that this happened. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I reached out to some people, and then next thing you know, some of the other people that were involved in the movie started to kind of, fade away, kind of fade away, fade away. Um,
Nick Gilliard.
and
Does that sound familiar?
that might be click on it. That was
Is this him?
that does look kind of. That might have been the person it was.
Okay. All
That
right.
might-
We don't know for
yeah,
sure, man. You know, when it comes to these Power Ranger actors, when you ask them about what happened to the order, they all clam up. And
So so a friend of mine was actually set to be the video and sound for the movie. So he filmed like their preview, like their trailer, like their little clip and everything, and he was actually signed on to do the actual movie recording. And he was one of the first ones to reach out to me and say, "Hey, I think this movie went belly up." And I'm like, "What do you mean it went bad? Just started. Like it just like they're still raising money. They were still posting." And he goes, "I don't know." He's like, "I got a thing that basically said, 'Hey, we no longer need you to clear your schedule for these 3 months.'" And he's like, "We're going to let you know when we're going to need you." And he's like, "Well, you got to like I need to clear 90 days. I need to know well in advance." And they're like, "Oh, we'll let you know." And then they're like, "Well, we'll go with somebody else if you're not available when it's time." And then that was
Damn.
it. And then they kind of bailed on him. But the basis of that was simply because everything was running smooth for me at least, and it was cool up until the Blake Foster addition to whatever happened here. The gentleman that was like kind of like I said, like the one that was like wrangling everybody together. He was like, "Hey, I know you had some run-ins with Blake." And I'm like, "Yeah, like I know him, like, whatever." He's like, "Yeah, he just doesn't really feel comfortable working with you again." And I'm like, "Well, fuck him. Like, this has nothing to do with him." He's like, "Yeah, that's what I told him. So, like, we'll figure it out." And then that was it. Never heard from him again.
Wow.
Zero. So it
Wow.
was funny. And then now every time I see it, like I've seen, like I'm in a bunch of Power Ranger groups, and I've seen people that have like they made their own shirts like, for the order and stuff like that, just out of like, funniness. And I'm like, I still have the logo artwork. I still have all the vector images of all of these things. So like I could make these shirts at any point for fun and just be like, you know what? It'd be so cool to go to like, like MorphCon and just have everybody wear the order shirts
Yeah.
just to see what happens.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. This has been a great interview, man. You've provided a wealth of information.
And if I get sued, you are going to be named as a co-defendant in this situation.
They are not doing any of that.
I'm gonna blame the fan club. He's the one that called me and was like, "Listen, man, listen, you got to talk to my friend." And so I'm like, "All right, I'll do it." You're the first person and the last person I'm ever going to tell any of this stuff to.
Don't worry. Come tomorrow, everyone's going to be talking about this story. For some strange reason, all of the Power Rangers watch my channel, even though they say they don't watch my channel.
Well, then that's great. I look forward to Blake coming out and telling me I'm a liar and telling me he has no idea who I am, and then I'm gonna bring the helmet to his house.
All right. Well, look, man, thank you so much for exposing this. Do you have a business to plug or anything like that? Or you
And all I'm gonna plug is the fan club. Check out the fan club on YouTube, Facebook, everything, man. Shout out the fan club.
all right. Let me get them up here real quick, man. YouTube.com. My man Dan over at the fan club, guys, hell of a content creator. Gave me this story. Fan club. Yeah, I'm saying hell of a great Power Ranger content creator. And he may not cover this debaucherous stuff, but I would do it any day and any time. So thank you again for coming up, man.
Hey, man, not a problem. Y'all have a good one.
You